I think very good evening to all of you. Let's begin. It's already 4:38. So first of all, on behalf of the Board of Directors of EWB, I welcome all the four panel members to agree for this participating in the very important topic. I also welcome all the professional members of EWB and students members, the faculty members, also some of the past members and prospective members who will be joining slowly as we solve this technical problem. So this is a very important topic today because as such, employability has been a problem even earlier. And whenever in the corporate people are talking, the students are not employable and the lots of training inputs are given by various industries. I was also a part of it sometimes back from Infosys and other places. So now because of this additional crisis of COVID, the things have become even difficult for the corporates. And then we thought how they manage this crisis, and everybody is trying to reduce the manpower instead of hiring. So this creates another problem. So I thought let people share what should be done, how they are managing, how the industry is managing their problems, and what is the kind of skills they think students should develop so that they are more useful during and after this crisis. And also what is the role of the institutions in that. So these are some of the points, and there's not easy answers for that. We have to keep on looking for this. That's why I requested people from industry to tell what they are doing to face the problems and what is their suggestions for students and the faculty members to meet this crisis, at least start preparing. So this is a very important topic, and I'm happy we have four very senior experts with us, all with almost about 25 to 35 years of experiences. So we've chose people from industry who are actually hiring. So Infosys, Deloitte, CN, these are the people who are actually hiring even today. So I thought they are very important to us. And another alternative career, which even the Prime Minister is focusing, is that instead of looking for employment, you generate employment. So go for SME sector, startups. So I thought somebody who can help in that and share his experiences and that. So we have one expert in that. So let me quickly introduce the team. We have Sir Anup Kumar from Infosys. He is the Vice President and Head of Business Excellence. And he is a Global Leadership Program from Stanford University. He is a PG and UG from IIT and NET. So a very long experience of 25 years. Out of the last 20 years, he has been with Infosys. And since he's heading the business excellence, so I thought he'll give some inputs about how they are managing their businesses, what kind of skills are required in a crisis like this. Our second panelist is Dr. Badri Narayan, and he's from Deloitte. He's a director of organization development, which also is responsible for talent management. And he's a PhD from Andhra University in industrial relations and people management. He also has more than 20 years experience with various MNCs, and especially Deloitte. Last almost 10 years, he has been hiring people. So he is also one person who can tell how the hiring is affected and what new skills he thinks people should be developed. Our third panelist is Mr. Ramanand Tige. He is the head of global talent management and head of HR and Indian APAC for Cient. So he is also involved in directly hiring the people. He is an MBA from XLRI and BTech from JNTU. So he's a both engineer and HR. So I thought with 30 years of experience, and since he's directly involved in hiring in India and in Asia Pac, he'll be able to guide us and give some, tips for us to improve. And finally, we have Madhav Reddy, who is actually currently also president of PMI Hyderabad chapters, and he is a managing director of two of the SME startup himself, and is guiding a large number of startups. So that's why I saw his passion for helping people, including students. In some other colleges also he's helping in that. So I requested him, so he joined. He's an MBA from Jamnal Bajaj and has more than 25 years of experience. So, and also he is a lots of experience with stock exchanges. Who are the people who actually put in money in maybe startups? So these four people have really represent the various segment of which may be interesting to the students, and I thought they will share their experiences and advices to the people. And lastly, I have a surprise expert, which I'll talk towards the end. There are certain guidelines we'll follow because this whole panel discussion is based on the 5 questions which I'll ask. And some questions I'll ask more than 2 people so that we get a different perspective for the same thing. Each expert has a budget of about 4 minutes. Very difficult, but I think they are all seasoned guys and they'll be able to manage this, And all the participants except the panel members have to be on the mute by default for better audio. And only the panel members who are speaking will unmute, others can mute so that audio is really better for everybody. Then all the participants are encouraged to write their questions in the chat box, and we'll pick up some of the good questions towards the end, and I'll monitor that and I'll summarize in the end. So with this, let's begin. And so I will have my first question addressed to Anup from Infosys, and the same question later on goes to Ram from Cient. The question is, what do you think is the impact of COVID-19 in your industry? And what could be the new challenges for the fresh engineering students because of this? Considering the employability itself was a problem even before COVID. So I request Anup to respond, and after that, Ram.
Sure, certainly. So thank you very much once again, sir. I really feel privileged and honored to be part of this conversation. And it is also said that it is better to be an opening batsman because you don't know what is going to come later. At least in the beginning, nobody knows that what is going to come. So I take this the first delivery on its merit, and it's a tough question. But I'll try to respond within the budgeted time for me. So as we know, a lot has already been said about COVID, and I'm not going to touch upon that because I mean there are millions and millions of papers and pages available. What I'll briefly talk about, what were the challenges for my industry, and I'm sure you would have guessed that I belong to service industry, IT service industry. So by virtue of this, we work with top Fortune 100 or 500 corporation of the world. Okay? And we are working on the core area. We support their business, we run their business, we change their business. So therefore, the first challenge was obviously to ensure that there is a continuity in what we do for them, so that there is a continuity in terms of what they are doing for their client and their own and their end customers. Okay? So ensuring continuity, ensuring resilience, supporting the client, because many of them, they were, in fact, they were much worse off compared to some of the other corporations. If you look at industries like travel, hospitality, or entertainment, I mean, they're really having a huge impact. And of course, I don't want to get into that. So just to summarize the challenges, what we faced as a corporation to ensure continuity, to ensure resilience, to support the client, to support employees, okay? And ensuring that there is a smooth transition to work from home using technology, multiple types of technology, so that there is a better collaboration, there is a better exchange of the idea. And while we did that for ourselves, so in fact, just to let you know, I think within few days of this COVID situation arising way back in March itself, I think more than 99% of our workforce was enabled to work from home. There was a small fraction which had some difficulty, but not because of any infrastructure constraint what we had. There were certain constraints from the client, because we also had to make sure that there is a client acceptance for this practice. Okay? So that took some time, but I think finally everybody is enabled to do that. Okay? And we have also helped our client to do that using our experience. Okay? But as I said, this has possibly made irreversible changes in the workplace, and also in the workforce. Okay? So what are the implications? Okay? So based on my experience, and based on especially what we have seen in the last few months, and also this trend was there for quite some time, but it has got amplified and magnified. So implications are the following, especially for the fresh engineers. One needs to be multi-skilled. I mean, that's number one, because most of the problem, whatever we are trying to solve in the today's world, whether through SMEs channel or whether in the large corporation, these problems require multiple skills to come together. So having multi-skilling, understanding of digital technology and the data. Okay. And digital technology is a very wide term. You can choose your area of expertise. Even if you do not wish to become expertise, you must be aware of the capability of these technology and understanding of the data, because the data behind this the digital technology is actually driving these disruptions and these innovations. Okay, so I think that's another thing which comes to my mind. Flexible working habit, because when everybody is working from home, it is extremely important that through this collaboration tool, we also bring out certain flexibility in our working habit, because when people do work from home, we understand that there are bound to be some disruptions, there are bound to be some interrupts. So one has to really take that into stride and make sure that the work habits are accordingly adjusted on day-to-day basis. Better collaboration, ability to work in a team which is completely dispersed in a different time zone, that goes without saying. Last but not the least, ensuring that one focuses on individual accountability and ownership. And why this is very important as far as I'm concerned, because of the fact that in the office environment, some of us probably have a tendency to think that there is someone else who is going to look at my work. Okay? But in this current situation, everybody is working remotely, so therefore everyone is accountable and everyone has to take the ownership of his or her work. Okay? So
Thanks,
just to
Anup.
summarize, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll pause
I think
here.
you made a good points. I'll request Ram to also say.
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Subhash, and good evening to all. I think Anup was a great opening batsman. I think he did use up all the 6 balls, and the ball is out of the boundary. As I see that the IPL season is really starting today. So I would just like to share a few thoughts. Anup did cover some significant points, and all of them are true. In terms of Cyient, what we are seeing is we work more on the engineering side of our customers, and we serve different industry segments, just like Anup's business does. A large segment of our business is in aerospace, and like everyone knows, I think aerospace has been extremely significantly impacted in terms of their new product lines, new aircraft, new engine programs, and the manufacturing. What used to run in, say, all shifts has come down to one shift, or some of them have canceled programs, deferred. The airlines have deferred their orders, and so on and so forth. So airlines industry has seen a huge disruption because of the impact to travel that COVID has caused. Outside of that, we are seeing all the other industries definitely saw an initial downturn, but they are starting to pick up. What does it mean for the students in terms of job availability? So if you look at the Indian services industry, I think there are 3 factors which impact the availability of jobs for the freshers. One is the growth in the industry itself, which is impacted by COVID, for sure. Second is in terms of companies having to deal with attrition, right? So you need a constant flow of manpower to be able to make up for the attrition. Third is the need for businesses to remain optimally staffed in terms of what is known as a pyramid, which is nothing but number of entry-level people, number of mid-level people, number of senior-level people. So as the people gain experience, people from entry-level will move to mid-level and mid to senior. So COVID has actually impacted all these 3, right? But at the same time, it is to a different extent. While growth and I would say attrition may be impacted to a large extent, businesses have to also look at how they can optimize. So that's why you will see that a large players who've been regular to campuses, while their intake has come down, yes, for sure, but it's not stopped. So the silver lining is that the intake will not stop. Okay, so that's the given. But the other implications are the intake will be closer to the demand. Okay, earlier you would have had people coming in say April. People who were hired for last year would have started getting onboarded from April onwards. Now you will see that getting deferred closer to the actual need of the companies. So that's something that all of you need to anticipate and even plan for. When you are going to pass out, your intake will be closer to the requirement. So what you need to really learn is how will you make use of the time that is available for you, right? Earlier, there may not have been much time available for each one of you to hone your skills or retain your skills. Okay, so this is an opportunity for you to build the skills that Anup talked about. As you go through this year, as well as in the before getting into a new company, I think you need to constantly pick up on digital skills, as well as the being able to work remotely, understand how that works. Of course, all of you are probably even learning how to learn remotely, which industries are starting to learn now, because most of the training was physical in the classroom and very limited was digital or through virtual medium. But today industry is also learning that. So I would just say 3 important skills apart from what Anup talked about. One is the ability to be agile. Okay, agile doesn't mean only speed. It also means an ability to adapt. So that's something which is going to be very important. A lot of us are very fixed in terms of, okay, I'm a mechanical engineer. I will look only till this much. I'm an electrical engineer. We put ourselves in boxes. I would rather say that in a situation like this, we should be flexible to learn what is adjacent to our area. Okay. Second is innovation. And third is very, very importantly, remote working, which Anup touched on. With that, I'll hand it back to you, Dr. Subhash.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very good answer, some good suggestions. We'll summarize towards the end. So now my second question goes to 3 people. One, Dr. Badri Narayan from Deloitte, and then Ram from Engineering, SEN, and Madhav. So the question is, what are the new skills? Some of it may be overlapping, so you may refer to your own talk. What are the new skills required and recommended by you to the students to become better equipped for joining the industry or startup? So in fact, whatever you are saying, Ram, in fact, you can continue, because this is exactly fits into the same thing. Then after that, I'll request Dr. Badri to speak, and then Madhav.
Yeah. Sure. Thanks, Dr. Subhash. So as I was sharing, flexibility is going to be important from a point of view of what you consider as your specialization. All of us from engineering, of course, have our specialization. So it's important that you know your specialization well. So if say, Cyient is hiring you for an aerospace project to start with, obviously you're expected to know certain areas around mechanical engineering or aerospace, electronics, etc. Right? But the challenge which is now coming in is how quickly you can adapt to a new requirement. Okay? So, and that might be taking on an assignment which is even non-technical sometimes, right? So it's important for us to say that I will be able to adapt to the requirements, because the market company is also trying to adapt to the changing market requirements, right? So you will be able to help the company adapt better if you are able to adapt better. What it means is you need to learn much faster, and equally you should unlearn faster, right? So if you're used to handling a particular way of doing things and say the customer says that, look, we have a new technique through which we can shorten the life cycle of design, you should be able to first unlearn your old ways and learn the new ones. So that is going to be important, and this is the time for you to practice some of these things. Maybe in the way you probably prepare for your exams. Can you try out new ways in which you want to prepare for your exams, right? Or your project, are you approaching your project in a way which incorporates digital skills, which is the skills more in demand now? Try to understand that and incorporate that in your project in your final year. So these are things which you can do to be able to prepare for what you'll see in the workplace. Okay, and lastly, I think one of the key things which has happened and a lot of companies have discovered, saying that while we have been trying to move to a work from home for ages, an event like this made us quickly adapt, right? And people to an extent of 90-95% have started working from home, right? So that is something that a lot of innovation has happened. People overcame the cybersecurity related concerns of the customer, tried out, experimented very, very rapidly, and used these methods. So some of that is something that you also need to see on how quickly you can drop an existing way and try out a new way, right? It's called agile and maybe system development. In various areas, you can do agile methodology. That's going to be important for you. I'll hand it back to you, Dr. Subhash.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very good answers. And I request Dr. Badri Narayan to.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Mr. Ram alluded to something very interesting. First of all, my biggest change that I'm observing in when we're recruiting freshers and engineers is that we are requesting everybody to debunk their understanding that I have done a particular stream of engineering and I would want to go into that. That conventional thinking has to first change. I think the biggest change that everybody has to adopt is there is no more any specialization. Specialization is good. It is very required because that's your area of interest. But trust me, if you look at it through the lens of an employer, what we are looking for is very basic ABCs, particularly when it comes to skills, right? Do not bank on your specialist skills anymore. They are important. I think you guys are sitting on the biggest opportunity. Till now, we all had complaints about there is no time. Now we have all the time. So spend a lot of time on acquiring skills on the robotics. Do not think that robotics is some very, very big spaceship that has to be explored. No, actually, robotics, if it's broken down and understood, it's very easy to acquire those skills. I have enough and more examples in Deloitte. People have started with mechanical engineering and now they head IT audits. What does this mean? What are those courses that are required for getting into all these things, and how can I quickly get those courses done? How can I read up a lot? Trust me, this is the time for you guys to read up. And the most important point that Ram made is, this is what we tell our engineers, which we engage with them, right? The projects that you do, ensure that they're relevant for an employer. Ensure that when you sit through the interview, you are able to say that, look, I'll tell you what, I know what a professional services firm like Deloitte needs, and this is the skill that I've acquired because of doing this project, right? So the first thing that we are looking for is how quickly can you get rid of your hat of saying that I'm an electrical engineer, and how good is he able to adapt. A is adapt, and B, get very quick in understanding all the basics required of what is to be innovated, what companies look at as innovation. For example, what stops you all from doing an online course in analytics? What stops you all from doing some online courses in RPA, right? Robotic process automation. RPA is projected to touch $1.2 billion by 2021. Right? And there are enough and more examples within Deloitte of people who have nothing to do with RPA, who have done some chemical engineering and have come into this. So my biggest message to all the engineers who are to be engineers or want to join is, please quickly get rid of that feeling that you belong to a specialization, and what are the generic skills that are required. Spend time on reading and acquiring some certifications urgently. Back to you, Subhash.
Thank you so much. Now, a little different perspective I expect from Madhav, because that is a third source of new employability and new employment generation rather than looking for employment. Yeah, Madhav. So what?
I was
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Doctor, and thank you, Badri and Ram and Anup, for opening the batting order. And I happen to be the last man. So just as far as students are concerned, whether it is a corporate world or a startup, there are certain basic things that we all expect you all to have. I think the first thing that I would like to share is that you all are students now, and make a promise to yourself that you're going to continue to be a student for your life. Life teaches you so many things during the course of your, and you need to be a student. I am at the age of 55, still considered myself to be a student, because the new organization, for example, I'm working with, it's a pharma company, and I find that this is different than what I have learned in the past 3 years. So be a student. As far as startup is concerned, I think, and that holds good for the general organizations as well. Passion, the drive. I think you cannot replace the passion and drive that comes. And without that, when I look back and see the 60 students that we were in our class, that was the days when we used to be 60. And I find looking at all of them today where they are, and the guys who are in the top 5, 7. Does it make a difference when you measure up yourself overall a period of 30-35 years? You find the difference that people who had that extra bit of urge to do. I just many a times, how many times you all must have, at least I have done this. How many times you have slept saying that tomorrow morning I'll go for jogging. अगले महीने से 1 तारीख से पक्का मैं करूंगा. Unfortunately, that kal never comes. And the multi-skilling that all other panelists have shared, I can add few more. I'm sure you all know. It's just that little bit of when is that next tomorrow coming where you're going to realize that high time I should take the plunge. The difference between you and the final success guys would be those guys who decided that yes, I should do it now. I think that's the key suggestion that I would go from my side, that you have to decide, and that's going to make a difference between you and the guy sitting next to you in your class. The other thing that is important for startup is to be holistic. You have to look at all the parameters, and Dr. Badri was suggesting that a chemical engineer, for example, he would like to start something. He ought to know something about finance. He ought to know something about the HR. How does he handle contracts? How does he handle procurement? Multi-skilling, as I think Anup or indicated, I think that's critical for every organization, but for surely a startup definitely expect that. The other thing that I would like to suggest is that this is the phase of your life where social media is making a huge difference. You have to ensure that your content which you are creating, your footprints that you're leaving in the web are pure and right. Just start with LinkedIn, Facebook, or any other. There is a huge amount of information that you're leaving behind as you go along in our life. Future recruiters are going to look at that. They are going to look at and analyze that and see to what extent you are a proper fit to this organization where you are trying to apply. So be right, and be right is not just, but be passionate enough to be doing the right thing as well. So I think LinkedIn profile has to have many of these summer holidays that we get. Are we trying to do some internship? So that's the learning. That's the best learning that you can have, because it is at the expense of someone else. Some organization, is going to teach you a lot of things that's very difficult for you to learn otherwise. So have several internship as a part of your career. When you're filling in your LinkedIn profile, there should be at least 5 to 6 internship that you must have done in your life. Over you to Doctor.
Thank you very much. And it brought out some good points which I'll summarize towards the end altogether in the interest of the time. Now, my third question is also sharing some of the experience from your own industry. How is your organization managing to overcome this crisis? Some of you have mentioned something about it, but if you'd like to add something to it, we would like to hear, especially what is your policy towards hiring the new fresh engineers because of the changes. So I'll request Anup first to talk from Infosys, then Dr. Badrinarayan, and then Ram, because these are the people who are hiring, So Anup,
yeah, certainly. Thanks. So there has been, in fact, as I said, this particular crisis has led to possibly many irreversible changes in the workplace and the workforce. Now, there has been several policy changes around all these 3 dimensions, which I just mentioned. But let me just brief be about on the hiring side and especially around the people side. So of course, I see that as I speak, there is a question in front of me, that is, there is a change in the recruitment process. Yeah, there are a lot of changes. I'll briefly touch upon. So first and foremost, the biggest change which we have done in our people related policy is to ensure that we support them well, not just by the technical infrastructure, not just by providing the hard support, but also lot of support on the emotional well-being, on the human side, on their health, on their family health, on a lot of interpersonal issues, because we know that in this hour of crisis, a lot of these issues also crop up. Okay, so we as a company have recognized that, and our HR team has done a phenomenal job in terms of carrying out a lot of online events, creating a lot of content which is available on demand. So that's one. Secondly, as all of us, all my esteemed panelists also spoke about the need for reskilling, continuously learning, being a student throughout the life. We also did recognize this, and we have created. We always had some online platform for enabling and reskilling people, but it had certain challenges. Now, as we speak today, we have created a completely open source based learning platform, which is on mobile, on demand. Anybody can access that content if you are in a bus or if you are in a train, or of course nowadays you can't travel. But whichever part of your house you are staying, you can access this content and you can reskill yourself. It is AI enabled, so it will tell you, it will create a guide, it will create a guided path for you for learning, and therefore you will be able to really know what my peers are learning, what else is happening in that industry. So that's second thing. Now coming especially to the hiring. So of course, some of these requirement of multi-skilling, some of these requirement of adjacent skill, which our other panelists and friends talked about, that is becoming one of the requirement for the candidate, even for the fresher. The entire recruitment process has become digital. So no more form filling, no more application filling, etc. It's completely digital. And I also wanted to share a data point that we have honored all the offers, all whatever offers were made, even the backlog, everything has been honored. It's just that there has been some amount of latency in sending out the exact joining date, but everything is now today there is no backlog. And we are going to hire. In fact, as I speak, our hiring engine has already kicked off. I don't see any drop in the hiring number, etc. It is only going to increase because the volumes are going to on the rise. Hiring process is completely digital. And another last thing I want to mention before I hand over to Professor Stogi is that when we hire people, we also ensure that there is a continuous connect with them. So for example, no matter if, let's say, if the offer is made today and if a joining date is 6 months later, you will be still connected with us through our learning platform, through our various online channels. We will be connected with you. We will be we want to know what's going on in your life. We want to hear from you. We also want to share something which we believe you should be doing as a part of your learning path, etc. So I think these are some of the changes in the policy and also in the ways of working which has happened. And I hand over back to you, Professor.
Thank you, Anup. I request Dr. Badrinarayan to tell story
Sure.
of Deloitte. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Much like what Anup said, trust me, today, most of the CEOs are very, very concerned about the mental health of their employees, right? We are focusing a lot on mental health, much similar to Anup's experience. So I don't want to again touch on that because he's already spoken. I think what we are focusing a lot is how to keep connected with our people. And we have done various initiatives like, having online mentors, and we all have gathered around a platform called Cura, which is on online learning, which Anup also mentioned. And we are ensuring that we're pushing a lot of digital stuff. And when it comes to recruitment and what policies we have changed, trust me, what we used to believe as a very elaborate recruitment process where we used to go make a presentation, talk to people. Now suddenly the whole thing, we are being forced to manage three simple things. Does the student have a ability to analyze information? Does the student have the ability to articulate and speak well and present on something? And most important, can the person communicate and collaborate with people? Does he have these three skills? Now, The last one is a little too tough to gather on interviews, but still, it'll give you a feel of what that person is willing to, do for getting an employment, right? So the ABCs are simply: are you able to analyze? Do you have the basics of communication and articulation? Most importantly, are you able to collaborate and work with teams? Focus on these three. None of us, I'm sure my colleagues from the Cyient and Infosys and Mother will also confirm with me. I don't think we're really looking at how good, how well have you been able to score on electric circuits if you're an electrical engineer. We are not really concerned. So just focus on these things. And Partho is asking a very important question here. Will journaling help? Precisely, the point that Madhav made is so damn important. Today, all our recruiters are encouraged to go to LinkedIn to check the profiles of people on which associations are they involved with. What are the various things that they're writing about? What are the various things they're at least posting and showing interest? That gives us an indication, and we pull intelligence from there. Spend a lot of time there. Okay. As far as the recruitment policies are concerned, now we have completely slimmed it down to what used to be a 3-day affair is pulled down to 3-hour affair now. So in 3 hours, we are able to make up our mind whether to take a person or not, right? So these are some of the changes we have done, Doctor. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very interesting. Mr. Ram from Cyient, what is your?
Yeah, I think fully agree with what Anup and Badrinaran shared earlier. I'd just like to say that I think the whole recruitment place for the campus freshers is now democratized. By that I mean, earlier there used to be tiered colleges which would be approached, right? And there would be certain colleges which are panel colleges digitally across multiple media, and anyone can apply from any of the institutes. So it's no longer that there's a set of. Am I audible?
Yeah, now you are. In between, there's one or something.
Okay. So I was just saying that the whole process of campus hiring is now democratized. Anyone from any of the colleges can apply. So that's a huge win for people who and paneled with some of the large companies earlier. So that's no longer there. I think luckily for Cyient, we had moved to that model about 2 years back, and we continue to be on that model. So that is one. Second, I think as Badri mentioned, ability to interact in a virtual manner is going to be important, right? You need to be comfortable sitting in front of a machine and talking virtually to somebody who's in some other place. And unless you develop that, you are not going to be able to come across as articulate or being able to get your points across. So that's the second important skill you need to build to be able to make the impression. Of course, you need to know your basics because there's always going to be a written test where you need to clear a certain threshold. So some of those things, basics have not changed, but the way it is being administered, you have better access. So you have a host of companies you can apply to today as compared to earlier. And second is your assessment is going to be largely virtual. So you need to be in a position to be able to communicate your ideas comfortably in a virtual platform. And most importantly, I think what you bring to the table matters. So use this time to build that. So build your resume, build your social profile in a way that makes it very, very compelling for a recruiter to hire.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So now I have a fourth question as an alternative to just career, corporate career. So I'll ask Anup and Madhuri to address this. So what do you suggest for people to go in for higher education and go for maybe entrepreneurship, especially in SME sectors in this period and post this period? So your suggestions on that. So first I'll request Anup and after that Madhav.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So in fact, very interestingly, if you recall, we celebrated Engineers Day. I think it was on 15th. So it is very pertinent that we are having a talk on this topic as well. So I would think that whether one goes for a higher study or joins a particular sector or segment, probably it's a matter of personal choice. It could be a matter of personal preference also, but whatever it may be, I think some of the traits which some of our friends talked about, the focus on, for example, the focus on learning, the focus on problem solving, ability to work in the team, I think that goes without saying, it goes a long way. And especially given the current time, the engineering in India is poised for a major change with focus on Make it India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. A lot of investment is going to come. Already it has come in the core and high-tech manufacturing. And we are going to see that rise. Okay. Therefore, multidisciplinary approach, collaboration, working in virtual team, learnability, understanding of course, the data which I talked about earlier also, especially in fact, things like AI, ML, RPA. In fact, RPA was also spoken about, quick learning cycle, prototyping, because in today's world, seeing is believing, right? So if you're able to create something which can resonate with the real problem, what the end users or what the customers are facing, I think that is what is really going to be matter. So therefore, whether one goes for higher study also, I think one needs to keep in mind the fact that higher study should provide some of these learning opportunity to be amplified. Then it is going to be adding a lot of value going forward in the career.
Good. So Madhav, also share your experience because you yourself have started two companies, you know,
Thank
coming
you.
from the corporate.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Anup. So I wanted to share that as far as the general industries are concerned, I think Badrinath and all Ram also indicated. Also touched upon the fact that robotics and AI is the future. And if you look at AI, a lot of studies are there, but you can't put a finger that the study is correct or not. But the numbers that have been thrown out is that 75 million jobs would be displaced because of AI. And at the same time, they are saying 133 million jobs would be created for AI. So the kind of potential that AI has, and of course, including robotics, is very, very significant. People are looking at, for example, Singapore is looking at and realizing that the workforce, at least 1/5 of the workforce would have to be replaced in the next 8 years because of technology which is going to come in. We need to plan ahead. So now, as far as the U students are concerned, right now we are talking about next 3-4 months, 3-4 years, or next 2 years. That what game plan you should have to take on your life. So I think AI is a very interesting feature, and everyone is very new to it. So it's not that you will be behind anyone as such as far as learning is concerned. And the other best part is that AI has to be along with, say, chemical engineering. So the marriage is where you will score, because you already have, say, example, chemical engineering as your background, and then get into AI. Because you look at any field is going to make a difference as far as AI is concerned. Whether it is customer service, whether it is going to be transportation, you name the industry, manufacture, every industry is going to have AI there. Now, with your experience of 4 or 5 years of engineering that you all did, and if you marry that with AI, it's going to be, that's the need of the future. That's what is going to change everything. You ought to be there, have to be, as early as possible, get into that. That's one area that I would suggest you all to get into.
Good.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ram. Madhav. Now, you have told a lot about what the students should do, what is the new thing they should learn, what they should do on their own, and putting lots of new knowledge, certifications and all that. But I particularly feel that institute also has some role to play in this. And they should, it's very difficult to change them because of their own various systems. I think the new education policy things will be better, but still, institute also has to support and change. So I would like to know, and that is where I say my surprise expert is Dr. Ashok Agrawal, who has been associated with lots of academic institutions like IIM Calcutta and BITS Pilani, He has been successful entrepreneur also, and he has been now advising lots of universities today. And I think nobody knows better than him what are the difficulty in making a change in the institute, but there's a change required. So I invite Dr. Ashok Agrawal to address the question, according to your experience, what are the difficulties to introduce the new skills in the college and the suggestions to them to improve. Dr. Ashok Agrawal. Please unmute your speaker.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Subhash. In the words of the panelists, you have made me a finisher from the opening batsman. And I guess in the IPL season, I do have the final word. Thank you so much. After hearing all the panelists, I thought, let me extract out of what they have said. For example, Dr. Badri Narayan used the words, the student should know, analyze, articulate, and collaborate. They are the three principles he started talking about. If I have to extract out the key parameters for students to look for a good career, I will put them in this order. They should have a good attitude, they should have passion, ability to communicate, creative and innovative way of thinking, collaborations and teamwork, and last to my list is the technical skills. I personally believe that technical skills can be taught and learned, but the other skills which all of you have talked about at different stages of the game are virtually crucial, which are very difficult to pick up and embed. So the question I was raising myself is that what does the colleges can do, with Subhash's question, to address some of these issues. All the courses, certifications which you mentioned, I leave it to the students. And I didn't want to give a big list. I thought, let me just take out 3 or 4 items from my angle, which I believe colleges should try to induct, and hopefully they will be better. Item number 1, I believe that the pedagogy of the sessions must change. What I mean by pedagogy is that can we make the teaching to be student-centric from teacher-centric. In a simple word, I'm talking about, can we say the faculty cannot talk more than 50% during a classroom hours and make it lower and lower. Make sure the students talk at least 50% in the classroom during an hour session, and the faculty does not speak more than 50%. And I think it's a challenge, but more and more this thing is happening, will work. How do you do that? Give them advanced homework, make the discussions, ask them to do the presentations rather than just one item, talking. Second thing, one or two of you mentioned about it in the LinkedIn profile. I believe that all engineering colleges must make internship from second year onward compulsory. These internships must be prepared by the colleges, organized by the colleges, not by leaving to the students who can go to Amirpet and pick up a project report, but a very, very serious internships. Example, BITS Pilani Practice School, very, very highly successful model implemented. The final year internship should be for a longest duration, 3 months to 6 months, and attach a faculty member as a mentor. Ensure a faculty goes to the institution at least 2 times during internship period. To make the internship compulsory for every single engineering colleges, for every single student. Third thing I was talking about is that in every course which we teach, can we make sure that a real life project get embedded? Don't have a project at the end, but every course should have a real life project. You have talked about multidisciplinary skills. I believe the walls between the branches must be broken. There's no problem which can be solved by any engineering skills one. It has to be combination of all. So there should be a real life project given to the students in the teams through which they learn and they address the issues which you have talked about. They address the communication, they accept the teamwork, they address the issues of collaborations, and they address the issues that are relevant to the society, which is also some of you talked about. This, I think, will go a long way. Last item, which I believe must be done, which I think you people have not mentioned, so I'm adding on from my side, is that every course must have Indian ethical values course implemented. Right from day one, the students must be exposed to the Indian ethical value system. For example, Vivekananda Institute of Human Excellence collaborate with various colleges in Hyderabad and conduct classes in those institutions, giving them the philosophy of Indian philosophy and history, which comes out very, very handy in my opinion. Another example I can give you, Triple IT Jeevan Vidya program. All freshers must go through that at the beginning of the course. Whether you like it or not, it is a compulsory thing. I have left out completely the technical upgradations, because technical upgradations, colleges, certifications, I leave it to all of them in this fashion. Now, my final message is only for the students. Please appreciate that when you graduate, the day you graduate, you will be obsolete. There's nothing you will know. Nothing will be relevant what you have learned in the colleges. So what you need is not learning from the industry point of view, which a lot of people want, that can I know SPSS? Can I know SAS? Can I know Python? Go and make a focus toward conceptual skills so that you can become a student for life, which is what a lot of panel members have talked about. Your ability to learn new things must exist. And you can do that only if you have the solid conceptual skills with you. So focus on your conceptual skills and assume that after you graduate, every day you have to learn, learn, and learn. Learn, unlearn, that triangle will continue. I think if you implement these 3, 4, 5 items in colleges, I believe we may add some value to it. Thank you very much, Subhash, for giving me the final word.
Thanks, Phil. That was really very useful. So now, from our side, questions are over. So I was waiting for the question from the people side, and I saw there are not many questions. So some of the questions are already answered about what the future of robotic industry. And but the couple of interesting questions I'll take up, and anybody can answer that. A question is very interesting, which says that somebody is not too good in the grades, but is excellent in extracurricular activities, including debate, projects, and all that. Whom you will prefer to hire as your employee? I mean, this can be answered by all the 3 corporates, Anyone?
Subhash, can I pitch in once?
Yeah.
Let me answer that. You are talking to a gold medalist from BITS Pilani.
Yeah.
And I can assure you that persons who are average grades have done much better than me in the life. Okay, please go ahead.
Great. But that's an old story. I'm talking about the new, especially relating to post-COVID, So let's see.
Yeah, so
And especially I'm not talking of the exceptions. There may be always exceptions, but now today things are so different. So people want to know where they should see. Everybody has a limited time. So within that limited time, where they should focus more is probably this question has built into it.
Yeah, so probably I can take a shot on it. So grades, if the question is, do grades matter? The answer is yes. But these are just the qualifying criteria. They do not matter beyond a point. So therefore, as long as you are able to meet the qualifying criteria, and I'm sure that all of you will be able to meet that very, very easily. Beyond that, I think use the time to learn some of the other stuff which you talked about. If you're good at debate, I think that's an excellent skill, because I can tell you that at least I've seen in my industry with my own experience, people with even 8 to 10 years of experience, they struggle to open their mouth, to say something, to say no when it matters. Okay, so it's extremely great a skill. If you're good in debate, wonderful. I think you will go a long way.
Okay, good. Anybody wants to add to that? Ram?
Yeah, if I may, I would agree with Anup. I think grades matter to the extent of getting you an entry into the door. So grades do matter to that extent. I think Mr. Madhav Reddy mentioned saying that don't keep it at the time of your final year, don't have backlogs, so that you get into the door. Once you're in the door, then it's your skill that matters, right? So it's important that you know your fundamentals, right? Grades might say, I might have a very high grade, but if I can't answer a basic question in my area of training, then that would not help. So grades alone by itself don't really help beyond qualifying you to that discussion. But after that, it's definitely your skills, your problem solving skills, your communication skills, your ability to apply that, and some amount of knowledge, basic knowledge is going to be important.
True. Very good. I'll share one of my experiences when I was a professor at NITI, and we used to hire only based on the GATE score. And our last entry at one point was in NITI was 99.97 percentile. So we used to be very proud about it. But the people, they were not, they were a good blogger, but they were not able to participate in the debate and discussions and putting out their prime. So they can work alone and sitting alone. And looking at this, that finally we introduced a concept of group discussions and also personal interviews. So yeah, because there was lots of complaints from the industry that other soft skills are equally important to be successful, not technical skills is not enough. So that's a good, everybody endorses to this point. And I think Badri Narayan, I'll ask you this question and others can add. One fellow is asking whether it is good to write the GATE score, prepare time for that, or to join a good product company and develop there. What do you think on that?
Doctor, it's purely matter of choice. If you're academically oriented and if you want to crack GATE, that's one. I've known a lot of people who've taken a break without writing GATE, got into product companies and have flourished very well. So it's end of at the end of the whole thing, it's a matter of personal choice. If you were to leave it to me, my personal choice, I will start working because I know the advantage of people who have worked and gained that experience, because at any point in time, people would want to take an experienced person. I'm not taking away the benefits of applying for GATE nor clearing GATE. I'm not being presumptuous to say GATE is not important for life, but I'm just saying that today, in these days, people are giving a lot of importance to what sort of experience you have. And trust me, when I have a product company, and if I get somebody who's very experienced there, I'll grab that person no matter what, even if he's not a GATE cleared person.
Now the one, thank you, that's a good one. The one fellow is asked whether in this current situation, people are looking for experienced guys rather than freshers. Do you agree with that or you don't? I mean, you talked about the pyramid and changes and all that. Do you agree with that statement, or you can tell him?
Yeah.
Neeraj Kale has asked that, you know.
Yeah, I'll share my Deloitte experience. Luckily, doctor, I think we are one of those organizations who's extremely blessed and lucky. Our campus numbers have not dropped. We are still going to campuses. Engineers and management graduates are still our first port of call for grooming people. And we have a lot of people who become partners who joined as engineers and management graduates. So still engineers is our first choice, and we still go there.
Good. Thanks a lot. Thanks to all of you. I think we have already reached to almost the time. We've slightly surpassed because we started a little late. My call on this, in summary, I'll say that what you have said, people have to be very flexible in today's time. They should not be rigid in what they should learn and what they cannot learn. They should be very open to learnability. Everybody talk about learn, unlearn. And I think Ashok made a very good point that by the time you come to the market, your technical skills becomes useless, you know, because what you really require in industry is very different. Then everybody said the soft skills and innovation and are also very equally important. So the industry which is not focusing on that must also give a chance. That way, lots of good suggestion from Dr. Ashok to involve internship projects, real life projects and innovation. Other thing people said that multi-skilling is required. People cannot be only one domain. And of course, everybody said about digital savviness and catching up with the new things like artificial intelligence and other things, you know. So with this, I think overall, I'll say it's not an easy problem. It's a very difficult problem the whole world is facing. So for difficult problem, we don't have easy solutions either. So we have to explore a lot and start working towards that. It takes lots of time to do that. So I will also request students and faculty members to really keep looking for new answers, keep deploying efforts both from the student side and as well as from the faculty side. and face the world with greater courage. So thank you very much on behalf of EWB. We thank all the panel members. We thank this surprise element also, Dr. Ashok. We thank all the students members, professional members, and the faculty members who joined this talk. Now, because of some technical hitch, a large number of people could not join. This is, I am told, and we didn't have time to solve that problem. So what we are doing is that we will slightly edit this video and put for the people and share with the people so everybody, gets to know what we talked about it.